Welcome students. So, we are calculating the labor variances, and in the previous class we discussed some formulas for calculation of the labor variances, and we tried to solve one problem which is very simple problem, very straight and simple problem. And in that problem, with regard to the labor variances, we calculated two variances, that is the labor cost variance and the labor rate of the pay variance, which is say similar in case of the material variances. In the material also we calculate the material cost variance, and in case of the material we do not call it material rate of pay variance, but the material price variance. After this, these two variances in the labor cost variance and labor rate of pay variance, now we will go for the third variance, that is the labor efficiency variance. We will learn about the calculation of the labor efficiency variance, and in case of labor efficiency variance, one point which has to be borne in mind here is that see, we have been given some information about the say idle time. So, it means 100 hours out of the total hours, but the total number of hours we have worked out is, that is the 8750. We have worked out the total number of hours here, that is the 8750, and out of these 8750 hours we have wasted some 100 hours. So, it means now we have two ways to calculate the variances. First way is that you do not count for the wastage of the time, abnormal wastage of the time, and you simply make a comparison between the say the standard time and the actual time and calculate the labor efficiency variance. But actually you see that if you do not take into consideration this time wasted of 100 hours, which is because of the abnormal reasons, it is not because of the normal reasons, it is because of the abnormal reasons. So, if you do not take this into account, the efficiency of the labor will come in the question, that they worked for 8750 hours, but the output is not according to that period of time. So, it means the labor is inefficient. But when there is no power in the plant, what the reason given to us here is, the reason given to here us is that there was the stoppage of the work due to the power failure, that is the idle time for 100 hours because of the failure of the power in the plant. So, if there is a power failure, so how one can help it out? So, better it is, while calculating the third variance, that is the labor efficiency variance, we should subtract this time from the actual time we are going to take into account here. So, what is the formula for calculating the labor efficiency variance? That is the standard rate, that is the standard rate into standard time minus actual time, standard time minus actual time. So, now what is the standard rate here? If we talk about the standard rate given here, we have got the two rates, per hour rates are available with us. We calculated in the previous class. Standard rate is given to us, that is 2 rupees and 25 paisa, and actual rate we worked out was, per hour rate we worked out was 2 rupees and 50 paisa, right. So, standard rate is 2 rupees 25 paisa. So, we will take here it as, that is rupees 2.25 into standard time is, what is the standard time? Standard time here given to us was, it is given in the problem itself, and the standard time is 8000 hours. So, we will put here as the 8000 hours, and when you talk about the actual time here we have worked out is 8750 hours, but out of that 100 hours have been wasted. So, you subtract that and you take it as, you call it as 8650, right. If you calculate this variance this way, this will work out as something like, say rupees 2.25 into this amount will be how much, 650, right. So, if you calculate this variance, this works out as rupees 1462. If you multiply this, the 2.25 with the 650, this will work out as 1462.5, right, and this will come up as adverse. This variance is adverse because your actual time is more by 650 hours as against the standard time of the 8000 hours. So, it means that 650 hours extra time the labor have used, that is not because of any abnormal reasons, but because of normal reasons. So, your labor efficiency variance comes up as negative variance, adverse variance, that by the amount of 1462.50. So, now we will have to calculate, because now you have subtracted this actual time means from the actual time we have subtracted the idle time of the 100 hours. So, what we have to do here is now we will have to calculate now the third variance, and the third variance is if we talk about the third variance comes up as LITV, labor idle time variance, because that should be calculated separately just to find out that how much was the abnormal idle time, which is not because of the shortage or because of the any sort of the inefficiency of the labor, and for that we have to find out is the what was the formula was idle time 100 hours into the this rate is standard rate, that is 2.25. So, how much it works out as 225, and this variance is always adverse. Idle time variance is always negative variance, is always the adverse variance, because labor has been unproductive because of abnormal reasons here in this time. So, we will call it whenever you calculate this variance, this will be considered as a negative variance or the adverse variance. And now we have got all the three variances, means one is the labor cost variance, and labor cost is a function of the labor rate and the labor efficiency and the labor idle time. So, by factoring these three components, that is the labor rate, labor efficiency and the labor idle time, we will have to find out that whether both the sides are equal or not. So, how can I apply the check here? You can say that it is the labor cost variance has to be equal to what? That is the labor rate of pay variance plus labor efficiency variance, and now we have calculated the third variance also. So, that has to be the labor LITV, labor idle time variance. So, what is the labor cost variance here? If you see, the labor cost variance was what? Minus 3875. And what is the labor rate of pay variance? We have already calculated, this is minus 2187.5, right, and now it is again negative. So, it will be minus 1462.5 and minus the another one is 225. If you sum up these three, so this will become as minus 3875 is equal to minus 3875. So, you can know within the exam, for example, if you are talking from the academic point of view, within the exam you can come to know that whatever the solution you have found out, you have done, the problem you have solved is, it is correct because both the sides are equal. Cost is a function of price and the efficiency. So, we have seen here that if you take into consideration the price, efficiency and the idle time, if you try to convert that into the total cost, so labor cost variance was 3875 negative, and we have found out that this labor cost negative variance has been because of three important factors, because cost is a function of price and time, right. In the material, the cost is a function of the price and the quantity, right. Here the quantity is the time, not the units or the quantity. So, we have again labor rate, labor efficiency and labor idle time, right. Sum of these three makes the labor cost, because the firm has paid for the at the rate of the labor rate, firm has paid per hour rate and the total time, that is 8750 hours, and out of that 100 hours are the idle time hours. So, the total payment has been made for those 100 hours also. So, finally, while calculating the labor efficiency variance, for example, if you have not subtracted 100 hours, then this labor efficiency variance would have been more negative, means negative by the higher amount, higher figure. So, what it would mean? It would mean is that labor is more inefficient as compared to what we have found out here. This amount has come up is 1462.5, and you would have added this 225 into this. So, this variance would have gone up very high, and this reflection would have been on the efficiency of the labor. So, which is segregated. So, this negative adverse labor efficiency variance has gone down by the same amount, and now we have found out that labor cost variance being negative has been the function of all the three things. We wasted 100 hours, that is why our cost increased. The actual cost was more than the standard cost. Second thing, our standard rate was 225 per hour, right, that is 2.25 rupees per hour, and our actual rate paid was again more by 25 paisa, that is 2.50 hours. So, you paid the higher rate. What was the standard rate and what was the actual rate paid? There was a difference in that case. And when you talk about the efficiency part, labor efficiency variance, how many hours were anticipated? 8000 hours. And how much actually hours we have misused the labor for which the labor was working, engaged, productive? That was this 50, right. So, it means we have paid normally more by 650 hours, we have paid more by 100 hours of the abnormal time. So, actual extra time we have paid for is, which is more than the budgeted time or the standard time, is 750 hours. So, it means because of all these three factors, labor rate, labor efficiency and labor idle time, the overall cost has gone up, and that is why your labor cost variance has become negative by a amount of 3875. Now, we have found out the reasons for this. Now, we have to analyze it. We have to find out the, means go little more in detail, that why the labor price we had to pay more, why the labor price, actual price was more than the standard time. Were we not able to visualize in the beginning that the actual labor rate will be higher than the standard? Second thing is, when we estimated that within 8000 hours the targeted amount of the production can be had, but actually when we went for the production we mispaid or we spent more 750 hours. So, why? We were not able to find out in the beginning that the time actually will require not 8750 but at least 8650. So, why that? There was a gap between the standard and the actual time, and that gap is not a small gap is by 650 hours, because had the power been there in the plant for all the times, in that case the total gap would have been 8650. So, 8000 minus 8650, that is more by 650 hours, but still it is a big gap. So, it means there is some problem at some level. Either the standard setting committee is not aware about the labor rates in the market or how fastly the labor rates are changing, or there could be a problem that they are not able to find out or to calculate that for performing a certain amount of the work, how much time is actually expected to be taken by the labor. So, these are the factors to be found out, to be plugged, so that next time your standard performance is equal to the actual performance or vice versa, your actual performance is equal to the standard performance. There is no idle time or the wastage of any time, and every time we are able to use the labor for the maximum possible time, and most of the time of the labor is the productive time, not the unproductive time, right. So, this way we have to analyze these labor variances, and we have to try to find out that if in any case the variances are negative, why these negative variances are coming up and how we can control these variances, so that ultimate purpose of controlling the total cost of production, because in the total cost of production of any product I told you many times that 50 to 60% cost is because of material, and then the 15 to 25% of the cost is because of labor, and these are the two very important components in the total cost. So, if you want to control the cost of the production, you first focus upon the material, then after this once you have fully exploited all the say possible avenues for controlling the material cost, then you focus upon the next larger component of the cost, that is the labor component, and labor cost should also be within control, and after that we should go for the third component, that is the other overheads, right. That is the third component of the cost, that is the other overheads. So, these three important things are there to be taken into consideration. Material variances we have already known, and labor variances are now we doing, and now after this we will be learning not in detail, but in a summarized form about the overhead variances, right. So, this problem, first problem was very simple problem, and in this simple problem we could find out that if you are given the standard information in terms of time, that is the labor rate and the labor time, and if you are given the actual information with regard to labor time and the labor rate, then how to calculate the variances. But here the limitation of this problem was that we were not given about the details of the different type of the workers, and actually in the firms, in the plants, what happens? We use the three category of the workers. I told you in the previous class also, we use skilled workers, we use semi skilled workers, and we used unskilled workers, and the rate of payment to these three category of the workers, blue collar employees, are different. So, we have to change sometime this composition depending upon the availability or the non availability of the labor. When you change the composition, cost changes. When you change the composition, the total output changes, and it makes a big difference, see difference, larger difference. So, now the next problem which I will be discussing with you With regard to labor variances, I will give you 3 problems. Here a problem sheet, and in that problem sheet you will find 3 problems. One we already did. Second I will do, again we will calculate only 3 variances: labor cost, labor rate of pay and labor efficiency variance. But the labor is divided into 3 broad components, that is a skilled labor, semi-skilled labor and unskilled labor, right. After knowing about calculating the different labor variances for the different categories of the workers, then we will move to the third problem. In that we will address the problem of idle time, we will address the problem of the different type of the workers, means as per their skills, and then we will address the problem of finding out all the 5 or 6 variances, that is the labor cost variance, labor rate of pay variance, labor efficiency variance, labor idle time variance, labor mix variance or the gang composition variance, and the labor yield variance. So, that will be the third problem. So, let us now understand that if you are given the different type of the workers, skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled, how to calculate the variances, right. So, now if you look at this problem number 2, we are given this information here, and this information is something like the information regarding the composition and the weekly wage rates of the labor force engaged on a job scheduled to be completed in 30 weeks are as follows. In the 30 weeks are as follows. You are given the category of workers: skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled. You are given the number of workers put on the job, means that is the standard that was expected to be put on the job, that is the 75, 45 and 60, and we are given the standard rate also, weekly wage rate. It is not per hour, it is not per day, it is a weekly wage rate, that how much wage rate we have to pay per week per worker. This is 60, 40 and 30. Then we are given the similar actual information, how many number of workers were put on the job: 70 skilled, 30 semi-skilled and 80 unskilled, and the price we paid to them was 70, 50 and 20, right. The work was completed in 32 weeks. The work was completed in 32 weeks, and now on the basis of this information we have to calculate the labor variances. So, you are given the 3 set of the workers: skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled. We are given the standard time 30 weeks of all the 3 categories of the workers they have put together, and we are given the actual time also 32 weeks, and now we are given the standard and actual information. So, on the basis of this we will have to calculate the labor variances. In this case, now we will be calculating some variances, and largely if you wanted to be comfortable, you can calculate only 3 variances comfortably, that is the labor cost variance, labor rate of pay variance and the labor efficiency variance, and labor mix and the other variances we will touch in the third problem, right. So, now we will do this problem, we will discuss this problem, and for this problem we will have to now prepare this information. Then we have to solve this. So, first variance we will be calculating is the labor cost variance. Now, for calculating the labor cost variance, what is the formula? Standard cost of labor, standard cost of labor minus actual cost of labor, right. This is the formula, standard cost of labor minus the actual cost of the labor. So, now we have to calculate first of all this standard cost. We have to calculate the standard cost of labor, and for calculating the standard cost of the labor, right, we have to find it out. So, we are going to find it out for the 3 category of the workers. First category of the workers are skilled, right. For the skilled workers, if you find out, go back, and how many hours are there? 30 weeks, not hours, 30 weeks are given. How many skilled workers are put on the job? Means that was a standard 75, and what is the rate we are paying is, that is 60 rupees per week, right. So, now we will have to convert that into the standard cost for the skilled labor, and that will be how much? That is 75 into 60 into 30. This works out as how much? This will be total amount, standard cost will be something like rupees 1,35,000. 1,35,000. So, this cost we have calculated, this cost we have worked out. So, that is the 1,35,000. So, this is the product of this amount given to us. So, this is 1 lakh 35,000 this works out as, that is the 75 into 60 into 30. This is the cost of the skilled labor we have paid or we are expected to pay, we are supposed to pay because this is the standard. Now we go for the semi skilled SS. Semi skilled cost is, standard cost for the semi skilled labor is how much? We are given here, weeks will remain 30, workers are 45 and the rate is 40, right. So how much it is going to be? It is going to be something like say this 45, then is the rate is how much? 40 and weeks are again going to be 30. So how much this cost is going to be? This cost is going to be 54,000. This is the cost of the semi skilled labor and then is the unskilled labor. The cost of unskilled labor is going to be how much? 60 into 30 into the weeks are again how much? 30. Yes, so this cost works out as 54,000. Right, this cost works out as 54,000. So you can say total standard cost. Total standard cost is going to be how much? This cost is going to be rupees 243,000. 243,000 is going to be the standard cost. This is the standard cost, 243,000 is going to be the standard cost or the cost of the standards decided depending upon the different type of workers we have put on the job, or we were expected to put on the job 75 skilled, 45 semi skilled and 60 unskilled workers. Their rates were 60, 40 and 30 and standard time decided was 30 weeks, right. Similarly now we have to calculate the second component and this second component is the actual cost of the labor. Actual cost of labor. The actual cost of the labor is, again we have to calculate like skilled first of all, skilled, then we have to calculate the semi skilled and then we have to calculate the unskilled, right. So we will have to calculate now same way. Now you look at how much actual time we have spent against the standard of 30 weeks time. We have actually put the labor or we have used the labor to complete the given job for 32 weeks. We have used the labor, we have to put the labor on the job for 32 weeks. So this is the first difference against the standard of 30, actual time is 32 weeks. So we have spent or we have used the labor for 2 more weeks. So you can expect labor cost variance will be certainly, you can call it as negative or adverse because first indicator shows our actual time is more than the standard time. And if you look at the workers here, against the standard of 75 we have used the 70 skilled workers. Against the standard of 45 semi skilled workers we have used the 30 semi skilled workers and against the say 60 unskilled workers standard we have used more unskilled workers, that is 80. So it can change because we thought we will be having 75 skilled, 45 semi skilled and 60 unskilled, but actually depending upon the labor in the market we could get 5 workers less as far as the skilled workers are concerned. We could get 15 semi skilled less workers and to compensate for that we had to increase the number of the unskilled from the 60 to 80. So now looking at this we will have to calculate the actual labor cost. And if you look at the rate also, against the standard rate per week for the skilled labor we have paid 70 rupees, means 10 rupees extra per week for the skilled labor. Semi skilled we have again paid the higher rate and for the unskilled we have paid the lesser rate by 10 rupees. So adjusting all these factors, now we will be calculating what? That is the actual cost of the labor, and for calculating the actual cost of the labor, skilled one is how much? 70 into 32. So this will come out as how much? 1,56,800, right. In the second case it will be how much? 30 into 50 into 32, last will remain the same, this will come out as 48,200. And third one is how much? 80 into 20 into 32 and this will come up as 51,200. So actual cost of the labor is how much? 256,000, 2,56,000. We have got now the standard cost of labor and the actual cost of the labor, and for this you will have to now easily find out both the costs are available with us. So, what is the LCV? Labor cost variance is how much? This is the 200 rupees, 243 is the standard cost. How much is the actual? Rupees 2,56,000. This is the actual cost. So, standard is 243, actual is 256. So, finally, if you calculate the labor cost variance, this works out as how much? 13,000 rupees, 13,000 adverse, rupees 13,000 adverse. It means, in nutshell, you can say the labor cost we have actually paid is more. Why? A sum of 13,000 rupees. In such a small amount of the work, where it was expected to be completed in 30 weeks, be completed in 32 weeks. We decided some composition of the skilled, semi-skilled and unskilled workers, but actually we involved a different number of the workers in all the three categories. And when you talk about the rate also, in the two categories we paid, actually we paid higher rate as against the standard. Only in the third category we could save some money, where we paid actually the lesser rate as against the standard, but as a net result, because of increasing the number of weeks, because of changing the labor composition and because of paying the higher rate in the first two category of the workers, your total labor cost variance has become negative, or your labor cost has increased by a whopping sum of 13,000 rupees. It is not a small amount, it is a big amount. 13,000 rupees is a big amount, it is a big cost, and we will have to be careful. We will have to find out why the labor was not available. As we anticipated, we standardized, we targeted, then why the skilled number of the workers were not available in the required amount. Why 5 people were less available, we did not contact those people on time, or we could not find out that how much are actually available, how much are required. So, that is the one reason. Where we wasted 2 more weeks, 30 was standard, why we spent 2 more weeks, that is 32 weeks, this is another cause of concern. And when while paying the rates per week to the skilled and semi-skilled, we anticipated something less, we paid more. So, in that case, if you talk about, we have paid the rate also higher in the first two categories. So, these are the 3 important indicators which ask us, which force us, which require us to go for a detailed analysis and reset the standards, so that next time there is a either no gap between the standard cost and actual cost, or if it is a gap, it is the minimum negligible gap, it is an insignificant gap, because otherwise standard costing will lose its importance. Now, after calculating the labor cost variance, we will go for the next thing, and we will calculate now the labor rate of the pay variance. Labor rate of the pay variance. In case of the labor rate of the pay variance, what is the formula? Here we will talk about as the actual time. So, now the time will come out, and what is inside? This is the labor rate of pay variance, because in the material what we take outside the bracket, actual quantity. Here we are talking about the time, so it is the actual time. Actual time into the standard rate minus actual rate. Standard rate minus actual rate. So, we have now to calculate this. So, I told you earlier also, for memorizing these formulas, you have to put inside the bracket that thing which you want to find out. Rate you want to find out, the variance between the labor rate you want to find out. So, put the rate inside the bracket and multiply it by the time. When you want to find out the efficiency, time will go inside the bracket and the rate will come out. But that rate will be the, say, standard rate. So, standard rate will be outside, and the standard time and the actual time will be inside. So, if you want to find out labor rate of pay variance, you have to start with this actual time into standard rate minus actual rate, and that way you will be able to calculate the labor rate of the pay variances. So, if you calculate the labor rate of the pay variance, we will calculate it for the skilled, and if you calculate for the skilled, what is the time? What we have to take the time? Here the time is, we have to calculate the time only. For calculating the time, but you have to take into consideration here, it is actual time. So, actual time is how many hours are given to us here? We are given the hours are like 32 weeks is the time, and here it is the 70 is the number of workers. So, 70 into 32, this will come out as something like this time will be 2240 hours, right. or weeks. This is the total time in weeks. And what is the standard rate? Standard rate is 60 and what is actual rate paid is 70. So, what is this variance? This variance is going to be rupees 22,000. If you solve this, this will work out as 22,400 and this variance is adverse, right. Similarly, you will calculate it for the semi-skilled. So, if you calculate it for the semi-skilled, what is the time coming out to be? 960 into 40 minus 50, this will come out as how much? This will come out as 9600s and again it is adverse, right. If you calculate now for the unskilled, if you calculate for the unskilled, so this will come out as how much? This will be something like 2560 into 30 minus 20. So, it is the, how much it comes out as? This comes out as 25,600s. So, the total variances we have calculated, they all are, oh, this is favorable, this is favorable. So, we have calculated these say labor rate of pay variances and in this case this has come out as 22,400 as adverse. In the semi skilled, this has come up as, if you take this semi skilled, this is the variance, semi skilled is 9,600 adverse because actual is more than the standard rate. And in case of the unskilled, the actual rate paid is less by 10 rupees as against the standard and number of weeks is also quite large. So, this variance has become favorable. So, finally, you have to sum it up for calculating the LRPV and LRPV is going to be how much in this case? LRPV is going to be in this case, if you calculate the total sum of these three, it will work out as how much? It will come out as finally 6,400 adverse. 6,400 adverse because 22,400 plus 9,600, this will be the total adverse minus favorable 25,600. So, the net result is the adverse. So, one reason we have to found out, we have found out here is why the labor cost variance is negative, because your rate is higher, we have paid the higher rate of the labor for skilled and semi skilled and the net variance for this labor rate is 6,400 adverse or negative. Other variances, labor efficiency variance and then the telling with the labor cost, labor efficiency and labor rate of pay I will discuss in the next class. Thank you very much.